There once was a rock that wanted to be a tree. If I could be a tree, he thought, it would be so much better than me. Trees are big with branches, long and tall. I'm short and hard, only a few inches tall. I could touch the clouds, feel the wind in the sway, and all the children would come to swing and play. So he dug and planted himself in, covered in dirt, waiting for a sprout to begin. But the grass nearby pointed and mocked. "What are you doing?" they laughed. "You dumb, silly rock." "I've planted myself," the rock said with some glee, "and I'll grow to become a tree. You'll see." But they laughed and laughed, saying, "That's never gonna be." And the rock sat in the ground, covered in dirt, embarrassed, humiliated, and a little bit hurt. Then the rock caught sight of the apples in the tree, and he thought to himself, "I wish that were me." Day after day at their colors he would gaze. Who would pick me? He thought, painted in grace. Finally he shouted, "This is how it'll be. I'm going to be an apple, because a rock just isn't me." So the rock sat out in the hot summer sun to try to see how red he could become. As the summer months passed, the hotter it got. He stayed in the heat till this rock was red hot. Then he rolled next to the apples that lay on the ground, to be picked, to be chosen, to be selected, to be found. And when some children came by, Olivia, Jessie, and Jim, and they picked all the apples, but not him. Sad and alone, he thought, all those apples up there in the tree, everyone likes them, much more than they like me. So he sat and he sunk in a frustrated funk, thinking of nothing more than a grey pile of junk. Later that day, he heard singing from the sky. He lit up and saw a jay perched way up high. Her song soothed the air, her notes filled the land, and I'm quite ordinary, he thought, ordinarily bland. But if I were a jay, how wonderful it would be. I'm sure it would be, much better than me. So he built up some courage and climbed to a spot and took a deep breath to show the world what he's got. Out on a limb he belted his song, but sadly and badly this song was just wrong. His tune was horribly, terribly off-key. It scared all the bears, the bunnies, the bees, and all the commotion he fell from the top, hitting every branch on his flippity-flop drop. Now back in the dirt, just where he started, sad and dejected and a little broken-hearted. Surely, he thought, surely it must be, that a blue jay is far, far better than me. Then he looked and he saw radiant fish swimming below, red ones, blue ones, striped and yellow. They zipped through the water with grace and with ease. I'm awkward and slow, he thought, I think you'd agree. As he gazed in wonder down at the creek, it occurred to him and he let out a shriek. Surely, he exclaimed, a fish I could be. A fish, a colourful fish is much better than me. So he rumbled and tumbled to the edge in a flash and fell in the stream with a big clumsy splash. He gurgled and gasped to swim on his own, but went one direction and sunk like a stone. From the bottom he lay in the cold riverbed, looking up at the fish together as they fed. Surely, he thought, surely it must be, that being a fish is far better than me. So he dragged himself out in the mud in a rage, the anger building as he ranted and raved. Surely, he sneered, anything would be better than me. Then a voice from above sounded below, that echoed of kindness to comfort his woe. I watched as you toiled, struggled and labored, wasting your days to become those others you favored. First you wished to be a tree, do you remember that? This only got you soiled, sneered and laughed at. Next I recall a delicious apple in vain, which led to nothing but loneliness, heartache and pain. Followed by a bird it was, the song of the jay, and you managed to scare every creature away. Finally, to be a fish, you took a big dunk, which only left you angry, upset and sunk. Little rock, please can't you see that for you being a rock is the best thing you can be? You looked into the world and only saw what you were missing, never once looking inside at all the gifts you've been given. When the earth was created, you were there to see. Steady and solid, forever you will be. All the gems and the rubies and the diamonds you will find come from your family, your brethren, your kind. Generations, civilizations build with your strength, if they hope to survive for any bit of length. And when the children came, did you notice they each climbed on your back for the apples to reach? And for those who were tired, traveled and weak, where else did they sit? For the rest they seek. All the artwork, the sculptures, the history negated. Oh, what a loss if you were never created. If we try to be like everyone else, it would be such a shame, because then everyone in the world would all be just the same. So, little rock, now can you see? There's nothing better than being you, which is who you were created to be. So from that day till this may come as a shock. He found he was happiest, being simply a rock.